What is up, everybody? Rod J back in the house, and you guys are like, wait a second, Rod is live on a Tuesday? That's right. Because when I can get the people in, I'm getting the people in so you can check them out here. And so tonight, I'm actually joined by Jasmine and Andrew, owners of Liquid Intrusion Brewing Company. So I'm going to bring them up here and great to have them on board. We're going to actually talk about all the good stuff they're actually doing. And let's go ahead and get them in from the back room. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Great to have you here. And first time getting a chance to talk to you. And first time meeting Andrew a little bit earlier. So he came by, and Andrew was kind enough to bring a couple of the samples so I can enjoy them and talk about them here as we go through some stuff. And just to let you know, Andrew, I didn't bring it up earlier, but you're now one step ahead of Daddy Porter, because he's been trying to meet me for like the last few years. We keep missing each other because I haven't been able to get to Fresh Fest. So now you got a leg up on him. So can you guys hear me all right too? Okay. I just want to make sure you were nodding, but you weren't chatting. So I just make sure it was all. But welcome. And great to have you on board and hear about the things that you're actually doing there. So you guys are based out of Brandywine, Maryland. I'm going to drop that out there as well. We'll get into some of the different website and all that kind of stuff there too. And first Black-owned brewery in Prince George's County. I saw that on the information too. So making strides. And for you guys, it was kind of like, it was kind of like, you didn't plan to get into brewing. It just kind of happened because of other circumstances, which was interesting when I was reading the story in the background about the stuff there. So I don't know if you want to elaborate some, Andrew, because I know you were the one that was the beneficiary of the home brewing kit and everything, and how that all came to be, where you were able to start making your mark.
See, I'm so glad you allowed me to say this part of the story, because usually this question goes to Jasmine, and she's very, PC is the best way to say it,
I
right?
keep it clean.
But with that, so first and foremost, thank you so much for having us. It's an absolute honor. We appreciate you so much, and we appreciate the opportunity. So aside from that, so getting into homebrewing, like, let's go back prior to COVID, right? So prior to COVID, I was a distributor rep down in DC. Had a little stint with Anheuser-Busch down in Richmond, Virginia. Left them, ended up getting back with beer bars in like Bethesda, Maryland, World of Beers. Then I left them, ended up managing Belgian Beer Bar right around the corner in Bethesda, Maryland. Really dope spot, very vast selection of Belgian styles, Trappist beers, things of that nature. So it was always still around beer. Knew how to talk about it, knew how to sell it, definitely knew how to drink it. And when COVID happened, eventually I lost my job. We got hit really hard here in the DMV area. So my wife ended up working from home from her job, currently still is. And, I'm home not doing anything. I'm just laying around, playing with the dog, playing video games, nothing really to do, annoying her. And she was like, hey, you need to find a hobby and leave me alone. I'm trying to work, so just because you have, the unfortunate luxury to kind of just chill out and relax, how about you go downstairs and do something with yourself? So really started getting into home brewing. At the time I was, just reading up on it, studying it, not really, just dabbling or actually making the act. And we stumbled across on like the Facebook Maryland Craft Beer Drinkers group. It was a lady, her husband had passed, local lady here in Prince George's County, and her husband passed, and he was aspiring to be Prince George's County's first Black-owned brewery himself. And he had, a very vast homebrew system, Keyser with 4 taps, things of that nature, recipe books, his handwriting, all that jazz. And he passed due to cancer, unfortunately. And I hit her up, and I was like, hey, this is a long shot, but, I have dreams of being a brewery here in Prince George's County, Black-owned, et cetera, et cetera. And she said, this stuff is kind of cherry picked off, but if you don't mind, just come on by. We'll talk about it and go from there. So I hit up my father-in-law. He let me borrow his truck. My brother-in-law enlisted in his services. And then my best man for my wedding as well, too. And also one of my groomsmen said, hey, I need y'all help. Can we can I use your back to help me lift all this stuff in a truck or whatever it is that we can get? And we got there, showed up at her home, and I pretty much told her our story of what we wanted to be. It was way prior to the black and orange that you see now, the logo, all that jazz. And it was kind of like a divine thing. She really saw much of her husband in me as far as the passion of beer and wanting to create diversity. And she was like, you know what? Half the stuff is, cherry picked and claimed for, but nobody's come to pick it up. Just take it. Just take it all. Because I now know that, my husband's equipment is going to go to somebody who's actually going to take care of it, not try to resell it or do whatever the case may be, actually use it and has the exact same dream that he had. And she was like, this is the best kind of divine thing that could happen. So, we're still in contact with her to this day. She knows everything about us. We have some dreams and aspirations to, pay homage to her husband and all that stuff. But with that, brought all that stuff home. Wife was having a panic attack, like, oh my God, what is all this stuff? Where is it? I'm like, babe, don't worry. It's going to go right here. Your truck can still pull into the garage. We'll make it happen, etc. And then we really got into the lab. I started, finding my hobby, home brewing, and like the system was anywhere between making 1 gallon batches to 10 gallon batches. Mm-hmm. So there was room to grow into the system, and came up with a couple recipes. Our first recipe was the South of DC Cream Ale, which we'll probably be drinking here in a minute. My wife's favorite style is cream ales, and they're relatively inexpensive to make. So with that, it's something to the point where if you make a mistake or something like that, it's not going to break your pockets. So made the liquid. My wife tried it. She loved it. So I was like, okay, I can continue doing this. So I got the permission, and then started dabbling at other actual styles. So we created the African Queen of her 7 Seas IPA, getting that honed in. And the story behind that, made the recipe. I was brewing it, couldn't get it perfected, but my wife was tired of me pouting all the time because, I love IPAs. Like, IPAs are life. I just couldn't rack my brain on it. So she's like, you know what? Get out the way. Just sit over there and be quiet. Shut up and let me brew this. And what you taste today is based off of her brewing practices.
Awesome,
which is
awesome,
really awesome.
And then initially when I got a handle of brewing, the African Queen was initially going to be a hazy. However, when we decided to go ahead and roll this out to the market, we noticed that it was slightly oversaturated with your hazy New Englands, which is okay. Hazy New Englands, they're great. They're great. But being a brand new brand out in the market. Sorry, our dog is playing with her toy, but we set ourselves apart and we decided to clear it up. So it is now a West Coast. It's clearer, not as heavy on the stomach. The proteins have been dropped down, but it still has that same great flavor that we had when we first brewed it.
Yeah. So I'm glad you guys actually did, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit too. Because when I finally did pick that up, and some of the people that commented as well was kind of like, the classic, it's nice to have a spot for the classic and not all the hazy, juicy type stuff. But go ahead, Andrew.
Indeed. So with that, so we were making those and getting those perfected. Then we actually have our other 2 of our core 4 that we'll be releasing later in the year. Our South of DC Cream Ale, our lemongrass saison. Sorry, it's been a long day, but our lemongrass saison, which is 7%, and then our Bob Ross Happy Accident, like we call it, our Plum Basil Farmhouse Ale, that's 9%. Funny story behind that. My father-in-law has a plum tree up front, dropped a bunch of plums. He said, come get the plums. We didn't go get the plums. He showed up on a doorstep and gave us the plums and then proceeded to cuss me out. So then
my father-in-law would do, right? Yeah.
Then my manager at the time had a very vast garden. She had a basil plant. She said, here, brew a beer with it. So we're like, plums, basil, like, what are we doing here? So one night, liquid prevailing, I said, you know what? Let's chop up some plums and basil, just put it in a bowl and just eat it like fruit out of a bowl, whatever. And it was really tasty. And then we were like, you know what? How about we get some type of Belgian or farmhouse style yeast and put it on top of this and just let it ride and see what happens. And what we got was a very complex yet balanced 9% ale. We're super proud of it, and we can't wait. It's kind of like, all of the liquids that we're releasing now are phenomenal, truly exceptional, but we cannot wait to release that. But that will be the last one out of our core four, just because plums are truly expensive. Is the best way to say it.
Right now, for sure, with the prices and stuff. But no, that one actually intrigued me when I saw that on there for the core four. I do like a nice farmhouse sale. I'm like, oh, plum basil, that's interesting. So definitely will look forward to when you guys get that one rocking and rolling. The African Queen and the Seven Seas. So it's funny because you had actually let me know as well that the African Queen, because I did the review, like, what, you think of the seeds, you're like, well, all the hops are using the States, so where's and it was, I didn't know African Queen was a hop that you guys got out of South Africa, which was pretty cool. So how did you come across finding about that hop being out there? Like, you stumbled across it in research? Like, I've never heard that hop before, so I'm kind of curious how you came across it.
So, Australian and New Zealand hops kind of have a very good street cred, but with that, you get to the continent of Africa, there's some hidden gems of hops that's around there. And I've always wondered, like, how come I've never seen this in the beer? Why? What's going on? And with that, going to our actual homebrew shop, they actually had it in abundance, and nobody was actually selling it or purchasing it. So it's like, okay, well, let's give this a try. And then actually doing research and seeing everything that was going on. African Queen has a very good high alpha acid. It's a great bittering hop. Also great for aroma, so more so of a dual purpose. So it was like, okay, well, let's do this. And then, Falconers Fight 7 Seas is your blend of sea hops that everybody can recognize the flavoring on. So it's like, okay, let's make this blend together and go from there. So it was definitely deep research, understanding high alpha acid hops and how to actually make that flavor come through. And just, like I said, trial and error with our home brewing on it as well too. Sometimes we did more African Queen versus Falconer's Flight. Sometimes we did vice versa. We did different additions at different times and different quantities at different times. And we just willing to just brew it and get it dialed in and go from there.
Nice. Yeah, we always talk about on here at times, and I've been to a few of the breweries where back behind it, we're doing interviews and all that kind of stuff, but it's chemistry labs in a lot of them. It's basically there's a lot of research that goes in, and you got all the measuring, all the test tubes, all the different things. And it's just like, I think it was last week we were talking about, it's like you go to some of them, you feel like you're back in 10th grade chemistry class. Like, which for me was not always a good thing. I did make something up one time. They were like, don't do that. And it was like smoke coming out, but we'll leave that to another time.
Truly wish I paid attention back then.
Yeah. Like, is that supposed to burn through? Is what's supposed to burn through? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. But speaking of the cream ale, since that's the one, we'll start with that one here. So I'm going to crack it open because I did get it on chill after you got it to me to make sure so we're good to go. But this is the South of DC cream ale. And let's see if I can get up here. See if it gives me a little bit of light so people can see that there. But there you go. 5% ABV. It's got the little map there. I like the artwork and stuff. I really like the African Queen one too. We'll talk about that one here in a second. I got a can of that. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and check this out. Cream ales are always a nice, smooth transition beer for people, especially if they're on the macro side, right? So you can get them kind of a little bit more in the craft beer. So it's always great to have a cream ale that you can introduce people into your brewery and get them in. But the whole aspect of you actually doing the brewery, because most people, they get a homebrew kit, that's probably as far as they push it, but you had that dream and the foresight to stick with it. And at the time, it was not just something bad happened, but it became something better happened. It became an opportunity for you to actually follow your dreams, which is always an excellent thing. And like they always say, it's not a matter if you get knocked down, it's if you get up, right? So
indeed,
that was the thing there. You got up and you came out swinging. So. But it's a nice one. It's got the nice bubble action. You got the nice carbonation. Definitely the look of that nice cream ale, straw yellow color. Nice, about a finger and a half of the white head. Get the aroma. Always get like that earthy straw, like I'm out in the field somewhere type on the nose, you know, from the yeast
Mhm.
and everything. So I always like when that kind of comes in. But overall, very nice. Almost has a little bit of a farmhouse tint to it, a little bit of a funkiness in there as well too.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
It's got a crisp, refreshing feel to the beer, really crisp. Back of the throat, I get hit with a nice splash of it's not corn, but it's kind of like that corny type flavor. It's kind of, you feel that, which you get in the cream ale. So you get that, but you get a nice sting there in the back of the throat. Goes down real easy, very smooth. Hot day, I'm out on the golf course, something like that. This is easy to just be out there drinking on. Much better 5% of this than a 5% of Bud or something like that. Nice, refreshing aftertaste left in the cheek area, as it actually, after the swallow, you still get that nice feel of the beer there. So a great aftertaste. No, I mean, cream ales are ones that I don't do a lot of. I've gotten into a few more because I have a lot of friends that like the cream ale, so I've been trying some of those more. And this one is a very nice one put together that really brings in the essence of a lighter type beer that you can just sit back and chill with. You know, this is like what, for me, you know, you talk about session ales, and traditionally you're looking at 3 to 3.5. Although in America we pumped it up higher on the number, right?
Sure.
But
Yeah.
if I was thinking of a session type ale, this would be like something that would easily fit there. And I can see this one, especially when the weather breaks, being a good seller for you guys as far as outdoor activities, people out playing cornhole, picnics, barbecues. Easy one you can easily put out there with stuff. I could easily grab this and a burger and be on my way happy. You know what I mean? So yeah, very nice one in this one.
Thank you.
Yeah, for this, we like to say that it pairs well with family, friends, finger food, and football. So after you've chilled, you know, you've done your chores for the day, you finished cutting your grass, you know, you just washed the car, you just want to sit out on the porch. This cream ale is the go-to, especially for the summer coming up.
If you can't have that and you're in an apartment in DC or Baltimore somewhere, you can go up to the rooftop and enjoy it. You know, and you're absolutely right. It was something for us when we came up with our lineup. You know, we wanted to make sure with us that we show that our liquid is definitely balanced and easy and approachable. But also it triggers the senses of our more advanced palates as well too. We're not lagering just yet, so the next best thing would be a cream ale. Yeah, and we really hope that we knocked it out of the park. Also, cream ales is one of those styles that you don't see anymore like that. You know, like, got to give props where props is due. You know, Genesee rules all, right? But hopefully we can curve that market and bring it back, and also have something here that's tried and true. Our business model is that for us to be in Southern Maryland, you know, the brewery scene is very saturated. When you get to DC, going up north, you know, in Frederick and all that stuff, down here it's not. And a lot of those drinkers, like you said, that likes the big boy beers and all that stuff, you know, your Miller Coors, AB InBev, et cetera, you know, this is the liquid that could probably get them to grab away from it and also see what craft beer can actually, right? And then aside for that, we wanted to have liquid to put Southern Maryland on the map as well too.
Well, it's definitely a nice drinker there, and got a couple of these. So Wayne's actually one of my friends here. He actually has his YouTube channel, Wayne's Beer Delivery. He's actually out of South Carolina. He already knew the slogan, "May the liquid prevail." So cheers, everybody.
Indeed.
And he had mentioned he appreciated the confidence because to sort of a spread there, you know, going your core 4, a farmhouse, a saison, the West Coast IPA, and then having a cream ale is not something you'll see in a lot to really kind of start off something. So it's a little bit different. And I can appreciate that because you have other stuff you can try to fill in later on as you build it up. But to have like that core, you have the easy drinker, you have the easy IPA, classic IPA style. And for some that like a little bit more of a earthier type feel, I guess you could say. I mean, I'm really hyped to really try that plum basil. I'm just saying. You really let me know as soon as that baby's ready. But that would be something there. And then, because I can see that, like even enjoying that with like a cheese plate or some charcuterie or something like that and everything. That would be so good to smash together. And then just a regular saison. Talk about the lemongrass saison, which that brings a nice feel to the lemon coming in too. So
for sure,
you guys have something different going on, which is awesome. So I'm pumped up about that. Alex, another one of my friends, he's in New Jersey. He also has a YouTube channel, Alex the Beer Master, and he's curious if he can get that beer in New Jersey. I don't know if we can get into distribution, where you're distributing that now. I don't know if you're up that far yet, because you got a lot of stuff I saw on the map. I know you have some of the things around Baltimore where I'm at and then south of where I'm at, but I don't know if there's other states you're starting to get into yet or how that's working out for you.
Not just yet. Well, we're only in Maryland at the moment. We are currently in the process of looking at distributors so that we can get into the DC market. Then after that, get into Virginia. As we grow and then as we see the demand, then we'll be able to stretch our wings out, go to Delaware, go south to go to North Carolina, then, go back up to Pennsylvania and then New Jersey. Then, we'll be able to stretch our reach out across the mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
But we're not right now.
But with that, and to piggyback behind that, our biggest goal right now is to get the core force sustained in our market, DMV for sure. So DC, Maryland, Virginia. Excuse me. And then from there, start working on getting our brick and mortar, because we don't have one just yet. We're contract brewing out of a brewery in Baltimore, Oliver to be exact, Maryland's oldest brewery. They're super great, super transparent. We don't have any issues with them. But when we get our brick and mortar up and running, for our dreams of what we want to do for our brick and mortar, we definitely want to be a production facility. The margins will be better to actually go into distribution outside of the DMV area.
Excellent. Well, I know I saw on the one, I guess it was one of the Fresh Fest, you guys teamed up with Mac Brewing as well in a collab. So that's always a good way to get your name out there so people can start building an expectation and stuff too. And Daddy Porter, one of the groups we had on Twitter, we actually had Mac Brewing on there, and we had some great conversation there as well. So a lot of good stuff happening. I told you someone was saying, Brandon put a comment there. I'm not used to seeing you on Tuesday. I think somebody be like, I'm not used to you being on right now. So cheers, Brandon. Great to see you as well. But in what you're finding out right now, so right now you don't have the brick and mortar, and obviously I know you're like a nano brewery, so you're doing the contract brewing. And Oliver Brewing is actually one of the ones coming to Baltimore that I kind of picked up a pretty good vibe from them, at least some of their stuff. I really liked a lot of the beers they're actually doing. They seem very supportive, and I'm glad you kind of mentioned them, because one of the things, and I've talked about it before, and on Twitter or on here or Instagram, so many different social media is, and me and I think you guys know Shalonda, Afro Beer Chip, we've had our conversations around stuff, and it's kind of like at some point you wonder if our culture is being taken granted for on some of the stuff, because we walk into different breweries, and a lot of times we'll be the only Black people maybe in there, right? And you walk in and it's like Wu-Tang's on the jukebox or Jay-Z's or something. It's just like, because I just came in there, like, what's going on? But not that you have to be a certain way to enjoy the music, but it's just sometimes you see some of the cans that are out there, some of the artwork, some of the titles. Like I've seen Biggie and Tupac from different breweries, but not a Black person to be in sight. So I bring that up because I see with Oliver, they've had some stuff on theirs, but I'm glad that you mentioned them, because I can see where they're putting support into helping Black breweries as well to get started, to get your feet under you and everything like that. So that's cool to hear as well, which makes me appreciate them even more for putting the support out there where they're actually doing stuff. Because I had one, I think it was their Bring the Riwakis, which was actually a good beer, and I was like, this looks just like a Wu-Tang album cover. I'm like, I wonder if they're doing anything to support, when they're using this, and they are. Yeah. So it's great to hear. And how'd you get tied in with Oliver? Was it just like you connected with them somehow, like going to their brewery, or were you how'd you fall? Because it seems like a great one to fall into.
So there's a couple factors that go into that, right? So like a lot of the Black-owned brands in Maryland are actually contract brewed out of Oliver. And we all have a great relationship, and we can talk about this later because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a question. But our DMV collective is, our unification is unmatched and never challenged. So we're a tight knit group, and we definitely look out for one another and try to make sure that each other's businesses is thriving. At that point in time, Sean from Black Viking was actually starting up, and he was getting his batches out there and doing his thing. And he was like, hey, you know, let me put you in the ear of the director of sales, because they had a very good relationship. And we're members of the Brewers Association of Maryland as well. So they had a beer festival out in North Beach, and we got invited out there. And Oliver was there, and the VP of sales was there. And it was all like everything just kind of like happened at the same time, and it just worked out. So we had drank his beer, was shooting it with them, and then we got traded numbers, information, and all that stuff, and we went up there on a Tuesday.
I think so.
I think it was a Tuesday, and we had everything home brewed, pretty much canned. We printed out our own labels and all that stuff, and wrapped the can just so we can show that, hey, we know what we want as far as our logo is concerned. We have all the stuff thought out, so it's more so just plug and play whenever you're ready for us. And sat them down and had them try all the liquid, their entire staff, their brewers, everybody working in operations and all that stuff. And everybody was really great. You know, they understand that there's things that a pro level can do better than an actual home brewer at home. But they were like, they saw the vision in our liquid, and they were like, let's shoot an email and see what we can do. And from there, it's what we have now. And that was our first batch of African Queen went out in September of last year. And we're now about to can and keg our third batch in about 2 weeks.
Wow. Okay. Excellent. And so for distribution, like you said, you're not on with them, so you guys just self-distributing right now through things or everything. So you're connected in with the different stores to have them actually. So okay, so you are hustling out there. You gotta.
So with that, there's it's a really good dynamic that we have, right? So like my wife is the eye in the sky. Unfortunately, I do drive her truck. So what I say is, I will get you beer by the power of my wife's Hyundai Tucson. But aside from that, my background in distribution sales and actually being a brewery rep for a very large brewery, all of that training is already there. So, from us actually being, coming up with our targeted list count and understanding how we want to actually hone in our actual distribution. And our plan is quite simple. We want to get into an on-premise account, bar, restaurant, whatever the case may be, and then surround it with a bunch of off-premise accounts, beer stores, liquor stores, things of that nature. So when you go to that bar, restaurant, whatever the case may be, that's actually the sampling opportunity for someone. And we have a great relationship with every on-premise account to say, hey, if you don't mind, if someone likes it, say, hey, it's available at so-and-so store around the corner. And then that helps the community out as well, too. It's a big domino effect there. And that's we don't hide that whatsoever. We've also made sure that we partnered ourselves with all 4 World of Beers in the state of Maryland. We also have the Brass Taps. We also have the Yards, and we are the first Black-owned brewery in the Green Turtle as well, too.
Nice. Yeah, unfortunately, when we first got here last year, we went to one of the we were trying to locate a grocery store. So we went to one of the Harris Teeters that was around, and I was like, "Oh, a World of Beer, never heard of that." Ended up being closed down now, so it was like I never got a chance to check it out. So that was probably from the pandemic and stuff too, that they probably got hit, I would think. But it was good. I see like there was some more stuff starting to pop up. One of the key places that I usually hit around here is Lighthouse. I know you guys have distribution into Lighthouse now, which is a great spot to be, and you have some great beer selections there. And I saw a couple other places, but they're mainly, I think, more restaurants or bars where it's on tap type thing. So
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So the good thing would be is you get some more carry out type places.
So in your area, so we definitely have World of Beer, Owens Mills, World of Beer, Towson. And in the middle is Quarry House Wine and Spirits between both. Then get down to like your actual area. Max's Tap House, we're normally rotated in and out of there. Around the corner is Lighthouse. And then around the corner from there would be Off the Rocks, which is a Black-owned beer and wine store on the Eastern Avenue. And then we're on draft at Region L as well too, which is like it's a sandwich spot, really dope, really good eats, small, quaint space. But they have a self-pour draft line, so
cool,
really cool.
Yeah, it was funny because I saw and it was like 1 ounce, 42 cents. Like what? Because I haven't been to any place around here. I know about the South Force. I haven't seen anywhere that had it. And this was one of the places that actually had it there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's kind of our thing at some point in time, and what we're looking at. We are working on getting ourselves into Total Wine, and then we are working to get ourselves in a big bunch of chain stores. But the biggest thing for us is that we want to make sure that we take care of all of our accounts that's been there since day one.
Sure.
And we don't ever want to run out of liquid. That's our biggest thing. So we forecasted things right to the point to where with this third batch of African Queen coming in, we're sitting on, a little bit of stock that we can get out the door, no problem. And, we expect the same thing for the cream ale. And, also reason why we're only going with these 2 SKUs throughout the summer is because we've never gone through a summer before. So we don't know what those numbers look like with that frequency. And we want to make sure that we can prepare for it versus having to release, another SKU smack dab in the middle of the summer and trying to build that brand as well too.
Yeah. I mean, really considering this was really before the pandemic, before the pandemic hit, it was 3 years. You guys have made some big steps in 3 years time compared to some of the other things, for people to even, some people didn't even let their friends taste it after 2 years, because they're so worried about them not liking it. Right. So you guys did a really excellent job being able to get it out and up and running. And again, goes to the drive that you actually have there and what you're actually putting out. But I was going to go ahead and see, I got the website I was going to share up here too. Let me get that pulled up.
You have to pour yourself a cream out, Jasmine.
Let's see here. So here is the website for those of you looking, and I'll drop it down here too. Drop down the bottom. So that's the website address right there as well. With the website, you can actually check out the stuff we're talking about. I think I'm on the homepage already. So give me a little breakdown. You got the scientifically and then what you're wanting to do. So I kind of found that pretty cool to actually check out.
Yeah. So when we were trying to figure out what our name was going to be, well, I learned this from Drew during his distribution days, that the slang word on the street for beer was liquid. So we knew we wanted liquid. Liquid is fluid. It's liquid can flow anywhere. We wanted liquid. Intrusion, we wanted to have that, as you can see, as 2 names. So, of course, scientifically, the way that water flows through malts to create wort, which then turns into beer. And then we want to intrude on a market that's underrepresented of the African American population in craft beer. As many know, or as some know, Black ownership in craft beer is less than 1%. We are proud to say in Maryland, we are leading the charge. Black ownership is 5% and growing. We have heard of some people now that have come to us that have been inspired by how we got started. We have been in talks with them, just letting them know we are here whenever they're ready to take the next step. We're here, to let them know when we have other events in their area. And then if, they want another opinion on their brews, we're always an open ear. So, with that, you have Liquid Intrusion.
There you go. Yeah, excellent. And I got a chance to actually meet Jim at the Beer Fest. I guess it was back in, I'll say September or October when they had it. They had it at one of the parks down here. And I got a chance to meet him and we talked for a bit and stuff, and hopefully looking to do some stuff there and get some other stuff addressed as well. But real nice guy and some great opportunity meeting him and some of the other breweries. So then we have some of the photos and everything here as well.
So a couple of photos. So we're going through. So that's Barrel and Flow of last year. That's us with Mac Brewing Company. So we went to college with Mac, just to point that out.
Oh, cool.
So we're all Smithites, but he does an event for Juneteenth, which he's now making an annual cookout. So we're there all the time.
Yes.
This picture here, we were in Oklahoma doing a collaboration brews, Equity Brewing Company, which is a women-owned brewery in the state of Oklahoma. And forgive my analogy because I know it's not PC is the best way to say it. The two ladies next beside me, those are the mother and daughter team ownership. So with that, their fight or their mission in Oklahoma was kind of equals the same as African Americans in beer. It's really like we know how the state of Oklahoma is and what they have to deal with. So we went out there last year. We weren't even legal or anything like that yet, but we just felt like the collaboration had to happen. And with that collaboration, we made 2 liquids. We did a New England called Liquid Equity. It was a play on both names of each brewery, Equity Brewing Company, Liquid Intrusion. And then the second one, we did a blackberry Belgian wit called First But Not Last. Because
that sounds good.
Equity aspires to be the first woman-owned brewery, but hopefully not the last. Also, is their 1-year anniversary, hopefully not the last. And then for us, we aspire to be Prince George's County's first Black-owned brewery, and hopefully not the last.
Yo, nice. That's some good parallels there for sure. And then here's the about as well. I had to ask you about this pose though. Like, I mean, I felt like you were drinking some Captain Morgan earlier in the day or something.
You literally caught me drinking at the same time while you scrolled down.
Get a little captain in you that day. What's happening?
So
But he wanted me to take the picture like that, so I'm like, snap, I got you.
So I am a very, like I love to have fun and be out there and just be, a big personality, if you will. So, whenever in that moment, we were very happy because I believe that was our first batch that we were canning up. So, we had to make the liquid prevail. So it is what it is.
Definitely time to be celebratory for sure. Yeah. I said, what am I going to say about this pose when I get him on here? Like that's all right. You deserve it. You deserve it there. And then so we get the news, and you got some different things on here where you had some of the videos that you've shared with some of the highlights as well. So you're definitely getting noticed out there. There's with Greg and Doug and Brews and Banners. So I love the exposure. You had the round table. That was with one of the news stations, I believe, right? For that
it was, yes.
Yeah.
So and our thing for us is that, as we said to you, like off the air, like, we understand that influencers are out there and you all have a platform as well, too. So we want to do whatever it takes to be there for you and help put you out there as well, too. So, if we get a copy of everything, we'll put it on our website just so you can get that free press so people can follow you all and understand. And like, we get it, for us as the brewery and all that stuff, the things that we do, we can't do without y'all neither. Right. Like we need you just as much as you all want us to be a brewery and produce great liquid. So for that, we believe in partnerships and helping each other and lifting each other up.
Well, we couldn't do it without you either, but you make it the fun part of us to tell the stories about and share and build the community, right? So
indeed.
Somebody has to be out there in town square, and I'm glad to volunteer for it. And the shop, I got to tell you, because I'm going to crack this beer open here in a second, but I freaking love the artwork of the portrait and the can. And when I show the can here, people will see it on there as well. But who was the one that designed the artwork? Because I thought it was phenomenal to have. That's just a great image on the can.
So everything that you see when it comes to Liquid Intrusion at this current moment has been between both myself and my wife. We both collaborated on all labels, logos, the main logo, our clothing setup and all that stuff, colorways, website. It is all, the both of us. And it's more because I look at any aspect because, we understand that women drinkers are now increasing in craft beer.
Mhm.
But the biggest thing is like, okay, how do we make things pop on the shelf? And this goes back to, me being a distributor rep and teaching it to my wife, like, hey, we have to make things because we realize, although for us being a small brand, we're not the major brand that's going to be eye level when you go into a beer store. We're not going to be on that big, small little radius of stuff that
the second and third shelf.
yeah, that you see straight in when you walk in. So we needed to make sure that we made labels that catches your eye, no matter where it is, at the very top, at the very bottom, eye level, whatever the case may be. So a lot of it went into us just creating things and seeing like what works. Are we feeling this? Does it speak to me? Does it not speak to me? How can we make it more vibrant? What can we do? And when we came up with the African Queen label, it was actually only one lady on there, and she was in the middle.
She was in the middle,
and we felt like it didn't work because we was like, all right, well, what if we put it on both sides? If we put it on both sides, if the can is on the table, if someone's drinking it, if you see it on the shelf, whatever the case may be, it can always be positioned and it will always catch the eye.
Mm-hmm. And it's definitely eye catching. I mean, it's just a beautiful picture of the model you have there. That it's just, it grabs you. It grabs your attention for sure. So,
and we truly appreciate that. And our next thing behind that was, we can always ask the question: when was the last time you seen a Black woman on a can of beer, not in a non-derogatory way?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking the last one. Who was it that had the beer? And they actually changed the cover and took it off, and it actually bothered people. They took it off. I can't think of the name of the beer, but she had like an afro. And I didn't find it like as a derogatory type picture, but I forgot which one it was now. Shoot.
I don't know why sexual chocolate comes up.
Sexual chocolate, it was. That was it. And people like they made a change on it. But
yeah, it was Foothills in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I guess just because of where they're from and what the.
I mean, when I saw it, I thought for me, I was thinking like I saw it as like reminded me like a Foxy Brown, or Jackie Brown. It was just like that's what it reminded me of, the afro and it was just like I thought it was a tight picture. Then they changed it and people got upset that they changed it and stuff too. So
I think it more so had to play with where they're from, their demographic. And seeing what they're actually doing to help support African Americans as well. And if you're not doing something across those lines, it's like, all right, maybe we should change this. But I agree with you. I think it was a dope label. The liquid was really good. It's just kind of one of those things. It's the way that the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. And so in looking at that, as far as anything that you all have faced out there, I mean, we have conversations throughout time, whether here or the podcast or Twitter, or wherever we're having like forums that you've seen out there. Do you feel like things are in a better state now than when they were like 3 years ago when you get into it? Or did you ever run into anything where it became an issue? It's kind of like when I go into a brewery, I've never really had to run into an issue with stuff, but I've had other people that told me they did, especially women. Like I had a great conversation previously with Afro Beer Chick where she told you stuff that she would run into before. Not even just Black women. I've had white women tell me stuff they run into and Latino women. And so as far as where the culture is now, where the community is, how do you feel things are? If they've taken a better turn, or if it's still a struggle? Thoughts you may have?
I'll let you go first.
I definitely feel as if we're going towards the right direction. However, it's still a lot of work to be done. Mm-hmm. I may be slightly biased because a lot of the times when I go into breweries, I am with Drew or, we have a group of our friends. I haven't necessarily gone in with just ladies, but I have heard of instances, just as you, of women that know what they want. They know what they like. They order that. And then they're steered away to something that is lighter, more fruitier. When hey, we like the 11% stouts too. So it is a lot of work that needs to be done. Doing the events of, being a Black brewer, being a Black woman owner, that a lot like with gone to
Well, you cut out a little bit.
folks
Can you say that
by.
again, Jasmine? You cut out a little bit there.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, you're good now.
With a
That's,
lot
you
of
cut
the
out. If you could.
events that we've gone to, we've been a. Oh, can you hear me now?
I get you now. It's like it was cutting out. I don't know if somebody's like eavesdropping out there. I don't know if the CIA's tapped into this show or what, but you need to cut it out if you did. So
The balloon, it's the balloon.
you're trying to get another balloon up there.
It's another balloon. Yeah, we've had other Black couples, not even just Black men, Black couples, specifically women that have said, we see the good things that you guys are doing. We are actually trying to do our thing in whatever city that they're in, and all we need to do is just do more events, do more podcasts, do more videos to showcase that there are Black women out here drinking beer, drinking great beer, producing great beer. So, we just have to take the bull by the horns and just make it an educational point to push the needle.
Yeah.
For me to chime in, I think that we are a little bit spoiled here in the DMV area because a lot of the area is predominantly African American.
Mm-hmm.
But as you say, like the undeniable eviction down in Texas and all that stuff, life and way of life is completely different than what it is here in Maryland.
Sure.
So I definitely think more awareness, outreach, and talk on that to bring it to the table so we can understand what's going on, because maybe sometimes in certain states, areas, cities, they don't have that platform to speak on. They don't have that capability to actually speak on it. And it could be something that if we're so progressive here in Maryland with Black ownership and craft beer, maybe we can take on that load to help out our family across the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was in the Crafted for Action clubhouse chat every Monday, and I didn't realize that there's a Black-owned brewery in Utah. And then let alone hearing the struggles that he was dealing with, talking about he get 1-star reviews based off of the music that he plays. And here we are over here talking about, we're going to predominantly white established breweries, and they're playing Wu-Tang and Biggie and Tupac. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
So stuff like that is crazy and it's mind-boggling. I will say for me, when I was a distributor rep, I always thought I was just a unicorn. I thought I was the only person because, you have the on-premise and the off-premise, and normally distributors, they bring on people of demographics of what the market needs. So if we were in DC, going to Southeast, the more, less fortunate areas, that's where they wanted me to go. But I was like, no, I'm not going there because my background was bars. I worked in bars. Like I know bar talk. Like I know how to sell into bars. Like I know the price margins, all that stuff. So like you're doing yourself a disservice. And I had to fight for that. And when I got to the on-premise, I was the only person that looked like me in the on-premise. And I had everybody in the off-premise rooting for me, or people that's working operations in the warehouse and delivery, like me, everybody's rooting for me. Like whatever I needed, like I had a connection with everybody that looked like me, and they said, hey, whatever you need, call, we're here for you, because they knew how hard it was to get in, to be able to be someone representing certain brands in some of the hottest bars across the DMV or DC area, right? And from there, seeing like before COVID happened and seeing Fresh Fest being a thing, I was like, Jasmine, this is no brainer. We got to go. Like we have to, because once again, at that time, I thought I was the only one. I just thought I was that only unicorn that was in craft beer in the DMV, and I didn't know people like me. And now seeing where it is now, I'm so happy for it. And it's kind of one of those things like, Fresh Fest / Barrel and Flow is the reason why we started Liquid Intrusion, because going there as consumers and absorbing all that stuff in, we ended up realizing like, man, we can do this, you know, and it was just a matter of time. And, you know, and it just sucks that it was COVID, but it was needed. And now we are where we are. And our biggest thing is like as my wife said, anybody that wants to get into craft beer, especially in the DMV area, please reach out to us. We're here to help you. And, you know, we may not have all your answers starting up, but we can get you to where we are now. And
or we can get you in contact with those who will have a better answer than we would be able to provide.
And that's the key, is setting up that network for things to actually be able to be done that way. And like, I put a comment there, you said definitely some double standards. I mean, that's calling it lightly. I mean, you know, back, I guess it's been a year and a half, 2 years maybe now, but when they had the whole reckoning, as Jasmine, I know you're familiar with the brewery with like the women and we're coming out, but the harassment, and I'm sure you are too, Andrew. I think more of the women had to deal with it a lot more. And, you know, a conversation I had with Brianna Magnet around it. It was kind of just some of the stuff out there. And I had one of the women at one of the breweries tell me some different things. I actually did an interview with a woman on here, but I had another one that told me stuff that she felt she was in a compromised position with somebody from her. It was just like there was nowhere for her to go to be able to handle it. I mean, it was heavy, like to be able to talk to people, know this stuff was out there. So there's definitely different things along those lines, or different ways where women aren't getting the promotion up there. That's why it makes like things like Pink Boots that much more important for women to find support systems to be able to do that. And the thing with Fresh Fest, along with Weather Souls coming up with the Black is Beautiful, is that it brought more of an eye onto a lot of the Black brewing taking place in craft brewery. I say a lot, it's still not a lot because we're under 1%, but the ones that are out there like you that are doing it, it's hard to expose. But being able that you're now exposed and people can see that, like Jasmine said, it made other people think about how they wanted to get into it, right? So now it opens up other doors for people saying, well, if you can do it, maybe I can do it too. And it's just like that whole thing. It's kind of like when you talk about different things that kids see success in older adults, when they see more success when people that look like them, they're apt to do better because they have that there. If they never see that, they don't think they're supposed to go anywhere. So when they see other people doing well from our culture out there or making those strides, it makes them come out to do it. No one, I mean, you ask anybody kind of in the brew industry, probably the top head brewers right now, just about 9 out of 10 times would probably say Garrett Oliver. But yet a lot of people don't know that name, Garrett Oliver, when they should. You know what I mean? So it's telling those type of things. And I had a chance to meet him. I know Daddy Porter, Greg told me he's met him a couple times. He's just like the coolest cat. He's just out there sharing everything with the people. And it's just like, this dude could walk into any brewery anywhere and say, I want us to work here. And they'd be like, okay. Yeah. And they will fire. You're fired. He's working here now. But he's built that up. Yeah.
No, I'm saying like, and that's our thing. And so you start to see some of these, you know, other, you know, Black owned breweries that's actually leading the charge. Like, you know, Celeste Betty is another one. You know, when she walks into the room, she commands it. You know, when it's like, oh, let's back up. Oh, easy, you know. And then you end up seeing, you know, the folks like, you know, Tio and Benny out in California with Crowns and Hops and seeing what they're doing, you know. And then from there, like, we definitely want to make sure that for us as a DMV in the nation's capital and all that stuff, we're actually doing what we need to do as a collective, showing that we're unified, right? So like, you have the Maryland breweries, you have the DC breweries. I know that there was a study that came out, it was about, the number was wrong when it came out, but they said that there was about 12 Black women owners in beer, when it's actually was like 14, 15. But out of that entire list, the DMV had 2, you know, my wife, Jasmine, and then with Urban Garden Brewing Company, and everybody else is by themselves. It all, once again, how progressive the DMV is actually becoming.
Yeah. No, it's definitely some good things happening there. And you mentioned about Mac, and I know about the barbecue, and I'm trying to get up for that hopefully too up in Philly. I know it's at an undisclosed location right now, but it's being planned. I know that. So now that I'm back on the East Coast, that's definitely something on the agenda. But speaking of African Queen, I want to go ahead and crack this one up again. I know I've done a review on it, but it is so tasty, and I want to taste it some more. This is actually, for those of you watched that didn't hear earlier, so this was the first, really, right? So this is the one that kind of put everything on the map. And first time I had it at a 32-ounce crowler, now I've got it down to a 12-ounce, but nice IPA glass, nice classic IPA, nice fruitiness that comes out. The aromas are solid. A little bit of a sweetness, a little bit of that syrupy type texture. But I like it. The bitterness is there where it needs to be. With great hops, you get the pine. You get more of a dab of a resiny feel than being overpowered by it. So it's a nice balance for that. Set against the sweetness of the malts. Leaves a nice refreshing feel in the back. You get a nice little drying effect, but not overly drying. But you get that. You want to get back in there and grab another sip. I mean, it delivers. And again, it's refreshing because you're going to a classic IPA and not having to, I don't want to say the gadgetry of it. The newer ones, it's just nice, classic. Let's go ahead and settle into this and chill. And that's like, the cream ale was definitely a chill one, but this is a nice classic. You can just sit there. Takes you back to the old days. Again, something like this, spring, summer, you could drink it all year round. But for me, spring, summer kind of pops in my head. Being out there, again, barbecue, picnic, outside, pizza, wings, burger. You can throw a bunch of stuff at this, steak. I mean, ribs. You can keep it rocking and rolling with this, and you're going to be happy, right? Just be careful with the potato salad. We don't know who made it, so that's Why is it always the potato salad that's the questionable food, right? Everybody's going through. Who made the potato salad? Like that's the one thing that stops the line right there.
Wait, hold on, wait.
So it's actually crazy how you pointed out, what you think goes well with that queen, because that's actually what we do during our tastings and whenever we're talking about we call her the queen. For her hashtag, it is basking in her glory. And then for our food pairings, the spicy foods, tacos, barbecue, wings. And if you're into cigars, the spiciness of the cigar, and then some people have said that they like the spiciness in the back end of the IPA, that pairs well as well.
Yeah, very good Drew Estate cigar.
Oh, yeah.
What's the other one?
We always get it wrong.
No,
I can see this.
What's the other guy? It's. Give me 1 second. I got to do a Google search. I apologize.
For the cigar name?
Yeah, it's kicking me in the head. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Rocky Patel cigars.
Oh, okay, got you. No, I could definitely see a cigar with this, but Brew Review is asking, where can I find this again? So Brew Review is actually in VA, so he might be able to swing up a little closer to find some spots. So where would he like closest? Maybe depending where.
So the closest accounts for VA, if you're willing to go across the Woodrow Wilson Bridge, we are at the Brass Tap in the National Harbor on Draft. Northern Virginia would be, we would say probably the World of Beer in Rockville.
World of Beer Rockville, World of Beer Bethesda. Mm-hmm. They actually sell 6-packs to go as well too. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. What's that? Potomac Market down in the National Harbor. We're still working to get in there. But that should be happening real soon. So once again, that Brass Tap, National Harbor area, the liquid's definitely available there. We're coming up that way. You'd be coming into like La Plata, Brandywine area as well too. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a little hard, and we do apologize. But in due time, DC and Virginia is on the way.
There you go. And so Brew Review, he's got his YouTube stuff there too and everything. So he's done that way. Again, once you get that out there, there's another possible mouthpiece for you to share the word for you too. So
there we go. Just making the liquid prevail.
Yeah. And he said, "Oh, sweet, National Harbor would probably be the closest to us." So there you go.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So definitely check it out. I definitely recommend giving it a go. I mean, if you like a cream ale, definitely the cream ale too. But this one, classic. Put it right back. Cream ale. Put your feet up. Just chill. A nice little Sunday relaxing on the couch watching some movie where you're too lazy to get the remote and change the channel. You just sit there and drink a cream ale. You're good to go. A lazy Sunday beer. There you go. And our friend, just say hello to my friend Mick. Mick is actually watching from over in the UK, but he said, "I'm going Gordon Ramsay." He's drooling here. So.
There you go. Well, you know, Gordon Ramsay's restaurants down in the DC.
I did hear that, but I have not been down yet. But I'm definitely interested in checking that out. My wife is always like, she always used to say, "I like Gordon Ramsay from growing up in New Jersey," because let's face it, New Jersey people can be a-holes at times, right? I mean, it's just natural up there. It's a part of, and she's like, "You just like because he's always yelling at people, just being an a-hole all the time and stuff like that." I'm like, maybe, because then I started liking John Taft from Bar Rescue for doing the same thing. Yeah, and he's from New Jersey, so it's just like, we just want stuff done. We want it done right. That's all. Back in college, I used to cater, so I was around chefs, and you would notice too, Andrew, from being in some of the bar restaurants, they're very particular. There's a reason you're very particular, because just like when you brew, everything has a certain detail. It has to be a certain way. So, yeah, you're very careful about that stuff.
I will say majority of the chefs that I've worked for and worked under, just like I said, just being front of house, general manager and all that stuff, they've all rubbed off on me somehow, some way.
Mm-hmm.
And it also goes into the aspect of being now us doing self-distro and all that stuff. And Jasmine sees it, because like there's sometimes she'll call me a chef's name, and I'm like,
"Yes, chef."
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I got it back up.
Just trying to get that black jacket.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this might be slightly off topic. At the beginning of the summer, I want to say there was a show on FX called The Bear. Did you come across that show?
What was it called? The
Bear.
No, I didn't. Oh, wait a minute. No, take it back. It's the one that I've seen the previews for it. I never watched it. It's the one in the restaurant with the workers. Like the I've seen it. I've never seen it though, but I've seen the trailers and stuff for it. It looks like it's pretty good. I just think it was on. Yeah, I think it was on Hulu or something, where it wasn't like actual AMC or FX or whatever. So that's why I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It was FX's show on Hulu. Yeah, it was very good. I think it was on either an 8 or 10 episode season. However, once you watch that very first episode, you're hooked.
Yeah, there's a scene where it shows how chaotic a kitchen can be, and you know how everybody's kind of intertwined, moving with each other to just make one plate to get it in the window and out the door, and just a conversation, and it's just very high wired. And I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, I love this, because I'm like, giving me flashbacks, and my wife was like, "What is happening right now?" And I'm like,
I've been
watched it. I'm like, we're gonna keep watching it though.
When I was doing the catering in college, sometimes we cater, they bring us in. I was one of the supervisors. I had to come in and help them like do the food line and stuff too, where we're plating stuff up and everything like that and everything. And I've seen people just get pissed off the line, like pretty much just get out of here. That's like out of my sight somewhere. And it's just like, you know, and I've seen people cry over stuff too. And it's just like, it's just food. You cry, you know, but some people, I mean, they're not used to taking that verbal abuse at the time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can't make it, so I'm not even on track.
Rough industry. And then like also, you know, that's something that we have to keep in mind as a brewery, sell to more upscale fine restaurants as well too. You know, that's something that comes into mind, and like you have to understand like what perishable and seeing their menu and like what can happen. Also, you know, we really hope that some of these flavors, especially like our lasagna, maybe, you know, a dish can be cooked with it, and we're truly excited for that.
Well, that one that you have for the lemongrass saison, I can almost see myself eating a ahi tuna salad while drinking that, because I can see where that would pair up nicely with that one.
Indeed. Indeed.
That's that food background.
Our
Jasmine.
biggest thing is like,
I know how to
it
match some
definitely
stuff up.
Yep.
I haven't done much of the food pairing videos on this channel, but that's something people had asked me about doing this before. And I've actually got a couple of people in the bullpen that were looking at teaming up some barbecue type stuff and beer. We just haven't got it pulled out yet. It's so hard to get everything out there. As you're planning stuff, I mean, you've got to really stack stuff up and where can you fit things in? So yeah, we got some stuff there I want to roll out this year. I got a guy down in Texas, Rick's Barbecue. We talked numerous times. It's just matching up schedules, but doing like, if I'm grilling this, what would you put with it to drink type shows and trying to do some stuff, and a couple of the other food guys. So hopefully I can get that stuff rolled out here on the channel, but it's tough.
Well, if you're actually eating, can I please be invited? Because I will be there for that.
You're close enough to get a plate. You can get a plate. You're close enough.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, that's funny.
And then, cheers from Todd. So Todd is actually my side riding buddy here. On Thursdays, we do Toss One Back Thursdays, where we actually do a live stream and we drink beers and we talk some about beer, but then we get in all kinds of crazy stuff as well. TV shows, all kinds of fun, a lot of chat with the people that watch and everything. So Thursday nights, we do that like at 8:45 Eastern. So if you guys are around on Thursday night, you were bored, you want to laugh, you want to come over, have fun, just to know that we are live at that time. We're not going to probably do it this week because I'm live tonight here. And tomorrow night, we'll try to get you and Andrew in the gaming, see what you're gaming on. Because I actually have a gaming that I do, but I also have a gaming channel tomorrow with a bunch of other guys. So we do a channel, and it's with Daddy Porter. So it's Lag, Libations, and Lost Saves. We do a gaming thing. We do gaming news and talk gaming and stuff. So I'll probably take Thursday night off this week, but next week we'll be back to do some stuff there as well. But it's hectic. I mean, because I still got the day job, but YouTube is like something I'm definitely enjoying. Just like the beer, yeah, right. So you're moving and you're scheduling, you're trying to put stuff together. But having something like this tonight is freaking awesome. So. Because I do get some of the people that do watch that actually do a lot of the home brewing. Anything that you would provide, like tips for anybody, like maybe home brewing, thinking about starting a brewery, like things they should look out for, maybe ways they want to prepare themselves. Anything you want to share on those thoughts?
So, as my wife would yell at me about, a watch fermenting cardboard.
She's counting because I heard what he said too.
Ferment.
You said wives. You said more than one. That's why she was looking.
So, when we were fermenting carboys and things of that nature, I would just come home and just sit down Indian style and just watch it ferment and just be mesmerized. And she was like, "It's not fermenting. You need to leave it alone."
It's the same as a pot. Like you waiting for the water to boil. A watch pot does not boil. So a watch carboy does not ferment.
Yeah.
If you are in whatever your scenario is, your biggest thing to look out for is upgrading the cold side first before upgrading your hot side. Being able to, get to a boil, all that stuff, the faster the better is always great. But actually making sure that your cold side fermentation, all that stuff is actually pristine. Biggest thing that we would recommend is definitely upgrading your chilling devices of chilling the wort down. The longer it takes, the more able your wort is able to become infected, and that's something that we don't want whatsoever. So you have actually Whirlpool, you have wort chillers, you have counterflow chillers, and then plate chillers, so like good, better, best. From there, like if you're fermenting buckets, try to get it as soon as possible, because when you're starting to clean your buckets, you can scratch the plastic, and then that's how infections can arise very easily. So once again, good, better, best. Plastic, carboy, stainless steel. Stainless steel is always going to be expensive, so just make sure you're ready for that purchase. And then tilt hydrometers. We love them. We stand by them. We got about 3 or 4 of them somewhere around here in the house. On the actual hydrometer scale and all that stuff, it's great. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you really want to like hone in and start seeing data and all that stuff, Tilt hydrometers are the best way to go. Reason being because after you put it into your wort, you can actually get your original gravity reading and also the temperature of the wort to be exact. Pitch your yeast, all that stuff, let it start fermenting. You can go back and check it via Bluetooth on your phone to see what the gravity is, if it's taking off, if it's going down, where the temperature at, if it's rising, if it's lowering, just so you can keep it more exact. And then it also pushes all the data to a spreadsheet. So that helps you out as well too. So you can actually see where something may or may have not went wrong. So for example, if you're lagering and you're stressing out your yeast because it's running too hot, you can actually see, okay, this is what happened, day 5 at X, Y, and Z time when I checked it and stuff like that. It definitely helps you pinpoint where things went wrong.
So my 3 tips, I'll keep them kind of short, but so my first 2, 1 and 2 will go hand in hand. 1, don't be afraid to mess up and take as many notes as possible. Of course, the best experience is failing. However, you still need to get up and figure out what happened. With your notes, you'll figure out what went wrong. You go back to the drawing board. And then number 3, have fun. Brew as many recipes as you can find. You'll find the ones that you like brewing. You'll find the ones that are more intricate. At the end of the day, you got some beer to drink. So don't be afraid to mess up. Take as many notes as possible and have fun.
Yep. If there's alcohol at the end of the day, guess what? You need beer. It's fine. Let it ride.
So any plans down the line for like barrel aged type beers? Obviously, you don't want to run too fast as you're getting everything else under you, but barrel aged seems to be a big play for a lot of people now. So,
we've thought about it for our plum basil, with it being such a full body brew. And it's already at 9%. We've been playing around with barrel age, putting it in bombers. If we decide to do wider distro once we are in our brick and mortar, we've definitely played around with the with the thought of the plum basil.
Kind of want to throw it in a wine barrel, to be exact, just to be for those that are out there.
You think about the plum basil. I don't know if you have thought about it or not. But one that I've had barrel before that was actually pretty good for barrel, and I could think maybe it would work with the plum basil. Just throwing it out there, just throwing the gin barreling, having a gin barrel. I've had gin barrel beers that actually went well, and thinking of a gin and having that plum and basil flavor into it might be something of interesting mix. So,
indeed,
because of the neutrality of the gin.
So for us also with barrel aging, we definitely want to kind of leave until brick and mortar comes and all that stuff. We definitely want to kind of do that towards collaboration to kind of make it more special. We're trying to see how things go with Barrel and Flow this year, because we did the 3-way collaboration with Mac Brewing Company, Craft Culture, Ohio, and ourselves. And if we can try to pull that off, and we would love to throw amber in a barrel. I think that'd be really cool. But once again, to kind of answer the question, until the brick and mortar comes, if they do happen, it's going to be more of a collaboration, bigger type beers. One of those things that's like, all right, this is big and boozy, and this is a collector's item.
Gotcha. And that makes it more special. You're right there. So yeah, I think that would be awesome. But keep me posted if it does happen, and if you need tasters, for sure. You guys have a lot of good. You guys got a lot of good stuff happening here, and definitely glad you're able to come on. I know it's I don't know how long you got tonight, if it's getting too late for you guys or whatever, but I'm good to roll. I've had people rolling here for hours, so let me know if it's getting too.
No, we can roll. If you got any more questions, please. If anybody in the chat has any questions, definitely ask. We're here for it all.
We're open book.
Okay, cool. Well, then we'll keep rolling. Some fun stuff there. So, Andrew, your background working with the Belgian, what are some of your favorite Belgian type beers? What are your favorite styles? Anything that really stood out for you from the Belgian scale of things?
I love La Trappe. La Trappe is a very, very good brewery. You can't go wrong with
I felt like you went to a
Chimay
special
Blue.
place to come up that you leaned back and everything. Like I'm going to my special happy
I
place.
did, like, there are so many, like, a hidden gem is like Le Chouf's hopped up ale. You know, like for those who like IPAs and more so Belgian inspired IPAs, that one is money. You know, can't go wrong there. The saisons are phenomenal. Like you have so many different flavor profiles on saisons, whether they're earthy or they're fruity or they're sweet, or some may have a nice flavor or a funky smell to them. Some pair well with, like I said, Belgian mussels, or some pair well with, charcuterie boards and all that stuff. Like it's a lot going on there. The one thing that Jasmine loved about when I was working there was all the Belgian triples that I brought home.
I love Belgian triples.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And then actually understanding like Trappist beers and what they mean and the meaning behind them, that's really cool. And it makes you want to support them even more. It was really cool. It was very intimidating at first because I was a Belgian beer drinker, but I wasn't like truly into it. So I really had to learn, definitely quickly being a GM. But then after that, it was actually really cool because I'm, African-American man GM in a Belgian beer bar. And, people were asking me for my recommendations on what beer that they should try with their meal. And that really, really stuck close to my heart. It's unfortunate that COVID happened because, what could have been is the best way to say it.
Yeah, but COVID happened. Look where you're at now.
That's true.
You may not have done it if COVID wouldn't have happened. So
that's true.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that believe things happen for reasons. That's just me. I believe like there's rarely ever, if any time, if a mistake. I think like things happen for reasons that put you in different spots. So,
indeed, indeed,
yeah. So that got your own footing going.
It did, and it was awesome. And like that's kind of our thing. We definitely will have a good focus with Belgian inspired beers, French style beer as well. Our biggest thing is like we want to be able to show our friends across the pond that we can brew some really good liquid, to their standard.
Yeah, Belgian has been pretty much my top style. I don't know, forever. Like so, I'm big into the quads and the triples and the doubles. I mean, I went through however many Duvels and I learned, Brasserie or Brasserie. Like when all the different breweries, I can't pronounce always the second word. The first word is Brauerei, trying to get them down, like the right words and stuff. And the Brasserie, with that way it's spelled. You like to learn these type of things so you don't sound like an idiot when you're ordering them, right? And it's just like, then there's Von Holland something like, just give me that one. I think you're trying to figure it out. But what about you, Jasmine? Favorite styles?
Ommegang.
Ommegang, yeah.
Yeah, definitely Belgian triple. And then I do love my New England still. The juicier, the better. If it looks like orange juice, I'm here. Those are the ones I definitely gravitate towards. I'm not a stickler for other style. I don't necessarily push them away. However, I know I'm gonna get fussed at by some people. They might be watching. I'm sorry. I don't really care for sours. I'm still trying to get there. Me and sours don't get along.
Well, it's interesting you said that. When you said the juicy IPA, I was going to ask you about sours because a lot of them do taste like juice now that I've had.
Yeah.
It's so. Don't get me wrong. So I do want to put this out there as a disclaimer. Although there's styles that we don't like, we will still brew them.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So for us, we understand we're not going to sit here and not brew a sour because guess what? It probably might be the best liquid we'll ever brew. But with that said, I am not a sour person myself. I've conducted a study over the years that if you like sours, you don't like IPAs, and if you love IPAs, you don't really care for sours. It's something weird with the sensory on it. They both fire off as far as a pungent type flavor, but one's bitter and one's sour, and it's like they just don't work. I don't know why.
Yeah, we've gone back and forth with a couple of our beer friends around the country. Even when beer trading was at its peak during COVID, we did find a sour IPA from Nightmare that we sent over to one of our beer friends, and I guess she cannot do IPAs. However, she loved that one because it was the happy medium. So we're like, okay, we're finding something. So yeah, I'm still going to do more research. That's what I'm gonna call it. More research.
Well, that's the thing with the beer world. It's always changing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I love IPAs. I'm looking at a can, and it's my absolute favorite. I have to keep a pack of it in house at all times.
Oh.
It's Steve Austin's Broken Skull IPA.
Really? Okay.
It is.
Right. I've had it.
To me, in my eyes, it is a textbook West Coast IPA. Like, it's here, it's crisp, it's piney. There's a little bit of resonance in there because nobody took Steve making IPAs, but in his it's a really good IPA. And aside from that, we're big wrestling nerds as well too. So take that for what it is. I think that's how we got into beer, was because Stone Cold Steve Austin. Especially being
not what he was drinking during the matches, because he was not drinking good beer when he had the matches. They were tossing him.
Oh no, he was not.
Oh, no.
He was not.
He was wearing it more than he was drinking it.
He was trying to cool off.
Yeah.
Go to clank them together.
So see, he could have done that with it. He could have done it with the cream ale. That would have been nice and refreshing if you'd had that. So
he could have.
That would have been.
But now he got his own beer. So wherever he goes, we can't do anything about it.
Well, what? People's always drinking other beers and stuff. I mean, I knew a lot of the brewery guys that would occasionally you catch them. They'd be drinking a Bud or something like that, everything too. And they're like, "You're a craft brewery." Like, yeah, we want to just have something easy drinking sometimes. Like, I never slam any beers really, just because if it's a beer you like, enjoy it. That's what it's supposed to be, just an experience. It's like some people get upset when they see sometimes the brewers have something like that. I'm like, yes, they just want to have something easy drinking too. Sometimes, I mean. Except shandies, I cannot do shandies. Shandies are the evil kryptonite for me. Like having those around, I just can't mess with them. There's just like, I'm like, you might as well just give me a Zima if you're gonna give me a shandy.
Not the Mark Martin liquid. Forgot what I was going to say.
That's what happens when you think of Zima. You forget everything.
Yeah, man. So we have one in our seasonal. We call it the strange fruit shandy. It's more of a tropical forage shandy, but the name pays homage to Nina Simone in the song. So take that for what it is. Cool. But I was about to say something when you said it about shandies. I was like, what?
The funny thing is, I like it.
We'll see.
I would like a nice rattler, but there's some I can drink a little bit more. But like here, it's February, right? So end of February, beginning of March, people start going crazy because Line and Kugel will have their summer shandy back out. It's just like, I don't understand why people really got it. I mean, you must have just drinking lemonade, It's just like, I was just never. That's just everybody has their thing they're not into. That's what it is for me.
So is it Line and Cool like that you don't like, or is it like just shandy in general?
Line and Cool was probably one of the ones I've had more shandies from, but I've had other shandies I wasn't a huge fan with. Now, there are some beers that are shandy-like some of the wheat beers that I can actually enjoy, but just like the stuff that just has the shandy part, it's just like that mix of what it takes to make the shandy. It's just not something that's as a Lauren for me. Now, like I said, I'll drink a Rattler. I've had some great Rattlers, like the Stiegel Rattler from overseas. I enjoy that. Like on a hot day, you can pound those out like crazy. But it's just like this. I think it's
Add a little
maybe it's the sweetness. The shandy. I feel like I actually went to a bar a few years ago. It was one of my local bars. And I actually have a shandy glass. The Gladi Kugel shandy glass is a pretty cool glass. That's what, let me go and get the glass. And with the promotion, if you got a glass of shandy, you kept the glass. So I'm like, well, just give me the glass then, and I'll pay for that. And like, well, we can't do it by legally. We have to put beer in it. Well, can you put another beer? No, we have to put the shandy beer into it. I literally drank like a quarter. I was like, okay, going to pour the rest out. They're like, really? Like, yeah, I can't finish. It's just me and don't get along. I mean, but you know, everybody has a beer they're not a big fan of. It's just like liquor. Like I know people that throw down on Jägermeister like it's going out of style, and I cannot mess with that. It's just, it's not my thing. You know, people, go with what you like. So,
Yeah.
But if there was one style for me that it's not the one I agree with to be shandy, but it's not about me, it's about you. Is there a style that you just haven't gotten over? I mean, I know sours is there, so maybe that's what for Jasmine. I don't know if you're the same, Andrew. Is there another style that?
I've never crossed a good ESB.
Even like Fullers, you don't like?
They don't speak to me. Now I'll drink them just to remind my palate, like, all right, I haven't checked in a ESB in a while, so let me see what this does. But I just punish myself every single time.
Yeah.
Trying to think, like on the Belgian side, nothing really. Porters kind of come to mind as well too.
Okay.
I've never really had I think if I had to say between the two, it'll probably be porter more, just because porter drops off at the end of the drink and it tastes just like water. Throws me off.
The thinness gets to you. Yeah. But there are some solid porters that they kind of bulked up. Like if you take like the Sheets Black Butte, that's actually a pretty strong porter. Or if you go with the one from Ballast Point and their what's their Imperial Porter? People always think it's a stout, but it's actually an Imperial Porter. Victor, no, what's the name of that one? Ballast Point. I don't know if they make it anymore now, though.
Victory at Sea?
Victory at Sea, yeah. That's an Imperial Porter.
Yeah.
But a lot of people think it's a stout, but it's like, so, there's times we talk about where they blur the lines so much that you're like, oh, this has to be a stout. Like, no, it's a porter. Well, this must be a porter. Nope, it's a stout. Like, because they made it, so it's just like, it's supposed to be roasted versus unroasted, but they kind of changed up the formula for a lot of spots. But there are some porters that are definitely, but I had a great coffee porter. I just did a review on that. It was in Smog City. And it's like, they put it on the label, like, this isn't like a porter with coffee. This is like a coffee with porter type thing. And they kind of reversed it. I mean, it felt like if you like coffee, you would enjoy this porter. It was just that much richness coming through from it. But, that's what they do. And Drew said he conducted his own studies, and tertiary findings point to sours being lame. Lambics and Belgian things are a different story, but the kettle sour thing isn't at all. So you don't see a lot of the kettle sours out there, not like you saw the last few years, I think. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on the kettle sours, if that was just out of, you weren't messing with those either. Like,
so on a homebrew scale, we weren't. So on a homebrew scale with sours, you need a completely different system because the sours off the beer around. So you need to keep that separate from your entire, brew setup. And it's the same thing on a pro level as well too. Kettle sours is a extra day in your brewing because you have to let the wort sit in there and put the lactobacillus in there and let it work. So on pro scale, that's wort sitting in a, in a brew house overnight.
Right.
Like nobody had delays the entire brewing process. So it's like, remember, we got to remember being efficient, being able to turn around liquid, get it into a fermenter and let it ferment out. So, and I will say the industry is definitely a copycat industry. You can see,
very
like
much so.
New England's, New England's is a prime example. Like one brewery came out with the New England, and then somebody else did it, and then it started catching on. Then it's wildfire, right? But then you see, usually it swings by the summertime as well too, right? So like, there's a point in time back in my distributor days, Leinenkugel ruled DC.
Oh yeah.
Like it was at Nats Park. It was at every stadium. It was the liquid of the summer, and that was that ran its course. Then session IPAs kind of came in there because it's like, all right, we don't really we want our hops, but actual the alcohol we don't need to have it sitting so heavy on our stomach. We want to be able to. Firestone Easy Jack was my favorite session IPA. I'll point that out. But then
okay.
You ended up swaying over from there. Then you see West Coast IPAs becoming a thing. Then you saw American IPAs, and now it's the New Englands, and then they turn into hazies, and then like sours kind of move their way in there on that as well too, just to kind of combat. Yeah. And then now it's like, what's the next liquid that's coming back now? Seltzers kind of had their run, and that's kind of dying. Starting to die out as well. Yeah. So what do we do now? So like we're starting to see West Coast IPAs come back. We're seeing lagers, lighter beers coming back, and maybe it's just the change of like millennials getting older and all that stuff. Like I don't know.
Yeah. But you gonna skip over Brute IPA like it's Peter Brady or something? Like you didn't mention the Brute.
They didn't really speak to me. Just want to be honest with you.
They didn't speak to a lot of people.
It's cute. You know what I mean? But like,
it's like leave the yeast in the champagne.
Yeah, if I wanted to do something like that, I'd do it to a saison.
Right.
Up the carbonation to kind of give you that same mindset. But like brute IPAs and like just all that, bubbles and brute and yeast and all that stuff, it doesn't work well with the hops. And
yeah, I think I had like one or two that were actually pretty decent, and one of them was actually one of the local breweries that were in Northern Ohio that I just popped in, and I ended up meeting with them and doing some stuff there. But it was just like different than some of the other stuff that I actually had. But most of them, you get tired of it real quick. It was just like, yeah, okay, I'm over this style right now. So who knows? I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I just felt like you're right. The yeast for that type of style, had it been something different, had it been a saison, or that kind of yeast, put it like in a Belgian or something. It's like you don't want it. Just didn't mesh well. So
yeah, let's make something super complex and go with it from there versus an IPA. And then also we got India Pale Lagers and what was that? Coffee as well too. So
let me ask you this: since you're brewers, you brought up the IPL word. So India Pale Lager, are we trying to fool people by saying we now have the cold IPA when you put them side by side? I don't think most people could tell a difference.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Like the India Pale Lager didn't work. We're going to market it as a cold IPA.
The exact same thing.
We'll change the fermentation, but the outcome will still be the same.
The exact same.
But because IPA's on it, people will drink it.
Yeah.
So we'll see how long that actually lasts. Yeah, but we're seeing more people come out.
Good for them. I'm not. That's all I'm going to say.
The first time I had it, it was just like, this is something like I've had a little bit ago, but you could change the name. So I don't know. Like I said, you're changing the fermentation, going from an ale from a lager, but you're still getting the same outcome. So you're just trying to switch around the formula a little bit. But I don't know. It is what it is. I actually don't mind them as much because I like hoppiness. So for me, if you're going to make a lager hoppier, I'm okay with it usually. So it didn't really throw me off. It was just funny, the whole marketing thing. You could have left it in India Pale Lager. I would still drank it because I like the hoppiness onto it. But I think people, when you get a lager, you're thinking more of that smoothness coming through from the malts or like that, and not the hop forwardness of it. People just weren't ready for it. So,
Yeah.
Then they put the IPA on it, like, okay, so you know it's going to be hoppy now because it's a cold IPA, right? So
another thing to put on people's radar is like sometimes the hype things or hype additives that's added to beer. So like Kavaiki's, Phantasm powder and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's great, but all it's going to do is just jack up the price of the beer.
Yeah, it becomes a ploy there to get people in because like, what's that new thing there? And
yeah,
you know, we get people sour candy as kids. Typically like sour beers, but not those who like actual candy. So if you like sour candy, you like sour beers, but if you were more the Reese's or the Hershey's kind of kid, you weren't liking sour beers, probably.
Yeah,
that's true. I like Warhead growing up, or even now. Like I would eat, a couple little, sour gummy worms, or gummy rings or whatever, but not really. Yeah, that's funny. I didn't think about that.
And he said Japanese Hapashu beers are pretty god awful too. I have not had any of those. I don't know if you've come across that style before.
Have you had what is it, Hitachino before?
Yes, I do like the Hitachino beers. I do like the ones I've had from them. I've only had like 2 or 3 of them though, but I picked those up before I left Cincinnati. I was like, I had to get these to do a review on, because I try to do everything from across the globe that I can find, and we had a great place out there where we can get international beers. So, what did you think of them? Were you a fan of the?
I'm a fan.
Yeah,
big fan of them. I like what they're doing. IPA wasn't truly it for me, but once again, I'm an American, so take that for what it is. Like, hop me down, but no, like really love the white. Pretty easy, pretty balanced. The rice lager was really good. And then we've been seeing some things out there where people are trying to do kind of like sake characteristics on beers.
Yes, sake's becoming a little more popular too, for stuff. Which actually, back in the day, we used to do sake bombs, so I really can't say I wouldn't not trying some sake beers. So sake, it seemed like it always happened at corporate events we were at. But anyway, we go to the hibachi grill or whatever, and you get like a thing of sake, you drop it in a beer, you just chug it back or whatever. So so I'm like, it makes sense to someone at some point to do sake beers.
Oh yeah. Let me write this down real quick.
It was funny. I went to BJ's Brew House like years ago, and we talked about barrel aged type stuff and everything. Well, the guy ordered a beer, but I was watching the bartender make it, so he put a shot of whiskey in the bottom of the glass and then put the beer on top. So he wasn't ordering a barrel aged beer. I'm just saying we think about barrel aged beer, but in a way, what he actually did was add a whiskey infused into the beer. And I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. Yeah. So I started trying that at home with some different things. And you don't get the woodiness of it, but you do get the flavor of certain whiskeys when you bring it through in the beer, especially if it's like a stout you're putting it into. I was like, that's actually a pretty good trick to do. So occasionally I've done that. Anything that you guys do like for beer cocktails, you try to mix it up and try anything like that? Or have you done anything experimental like that? Like
just
stuff.
Over here, it's just beer mimosas for us.
Definitely beer mimosas.
On a Sunday, beer mimosas. Never really got into beer cocktails. We are talking to a couple of bartenders around the DMV area of constructing our liquids into beer cocktails. Only reason being because we do understand that with our demographic, people who look like us don't really gravitate to craft beer first. So maybe something that we can make that can be an option for brunch cocktail, something along those lines. We are definitely in that market of trying to exploit that.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you that then too, since you brought that up, because one of the questions we've always had, like when we've done some of the other shows, more so like over the Twitter channel and stuff, but is it because it's not marketed to kind of our community, or is it because I feel like a lot of people don't maybe go towards it because they don't know to go towards. They don't know to go towards trying that different stuff. And it's kind of like, it's not maybe a lack of interest, it's just a lack of opportunity. So I've had like friends that I've shared stuff with, and one of my friends here on the channel, I sent him some beers a while back that he never had these different styles. And he was just like, I never knew this was there. I never knew this was there. And he was enjoying them all. And my buddy here that I do from New Jersey, he actually lives in Baltimore as well. We connected, took him over to Guinness, that we have the North American brewery here. He had drinking Guinness forever, but I'd never been to the brewery and had no idea of the small batch stuff they were kind of doing there on different things. And so I wonder if it's more not being enough put in front of us to actually know what to look for there, rather than us not maybe going towards it. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are.
No, I definitely wholeheartedly believe it's a educational opportunity, and then just trying to make sure that we expose ourselves or, you know, others to other styles. So I can actually bring this up as a great speaking point. My father, he loved his Guinness, he loved his Heineken. Then we started putting different styles across his nose, across his palate, trying to figure out what he liked. So then now he's evolved and he's loving clown shoes. He's loving the Pente. Of course, he's loving Liquid Intrusion. And now at this point, he's telling us, oh, well, have you had this beer? Have you had? We're like, we've never even heard of that one.
He's putting it on us.
Yeah. So now the grandfather become the teacher.
Yeah.
And then for my mom, she's another one where we're trying to figure things out for her. Everything, at least she's trying. She may not like a lot of what we're putting across her palate, but at least she's trying. But she has been liking lambics and sours. Some sours.
There you go.
Lambics are her thing.
She loves her lambic, and it's expensive.
It is expensive.
Oh, it's definitely expensive. It's Lindemans is not cheap, so but it is tasty. It is tasty. So
very tasty. I think for me it's definitely educational thing. I always try to compare craft beer to wine, right? So like, you know, you have your sommeliers, you have your cicerones, however you want to say it. But your biggest thing is that you have all these styles of wine and people are more intrigued to try wine. But it's like, if you're willing to put your palate through the ringer for wine, you can do the exact same thing for beer. I always say that everybody likes beer. You just don't know what style yet. So you're able to keep going, keep trying and finding what works for you. You'll find something, you know. If there's a person who loves more of a, you know, whiskeys, bourbons, and stuff like that, more of a smoke forward beer, boom, I'm going to automatically send you to a rock beer. And say, all right, let's see where we are here on that line. You know what I mean? If someone loves wine, they're more for, you know, Sauvignon Blancs and things of that nature. Maybe we can go Saison, maybe we can go triple, maybe we can go golden ale. You know, like just things of that nature, and just seeing like what it has more of a fruit forward aspect to it, maybe a shandy. I don't know, but like there's avenues to see like, okay, tell me what do you normally drink, you know, in your leisure. Let's try to figure out where we are and let's try to hone this in and go from there. But also exposure is something as well too, right? So like, you know, we go out, like I was born in DC, so always going to like, you know, you look at Southeast, back in the day, you know, there was stuff that was marketed just only to us. And these beer stores, you know, you wouldn't dare see, you know, lambics in there. You wouldn't dare see, you know, Chimay in there and stuff like that. So it's like being able to have that access to it is another thing as well. And being able to educate our restaurants and bars that are Black owned to say, hey, you know, there are some, although it may be more expensive, it will help you out margin wise to bring this in and to bring this on, right? It doesn't have to always be, you know, Miller Lite, Coors Light, Budweiser, Bud Light, Blue Moon, or Shock Top, Goose Island, and then something else. You know what I mean? Like there are other more local, more community-driven liquids out there that can actually help you and your business as well too. So being able to have people, make that because, distributors, it's a rough game out there. Sometimes distributors they'll tell a bar like, oh, you can't bring them in because they self-distro, and the account literally takes that and believes it because it's like, well, nobody else is telling me anything else otherwise. And it's not like they called a state, because who wants to do that?
Yeah.
So got a game out there.
Part of it is our distribution process, and the 3-tier process needs to be overhauled, in my opinion. It's just kind of crazy on how the different states are regulated different. I mean, it's like I talked to the guys in Jersey, and in Jersey, it's like one of my buddies from high school, he runs a brewery up there, and like you can only do like 12 events during a year where you have food or something, or you have these different things. It's like stupid rules, but it's all because of the restaurant type lobby and stuff. And coming from Cincinnati, it's like we had beer in Kroger out there. Like you could literally grab a draft while you're grocery shopping. We have beer in stores out there where you're doing that. You can pull into a gas station, get gas, and get beer at the gas station. You can go to restaurants, you go to bar. All these places were selling beer, and the economy did great. And it's like when I come to Baltimore, it's like you can't do that at a gas station. And they had a thing on the news because I think some of them were trying to get more beer available, and it's just like I don't think they get the big picture of it. They're like, "Oh, we're going to go out of business." They're like, "No, like there's enough for everybody to actually have success." It's kind of like you have that opportunity there, and I feel like they're missing a lot of that. But which is funny because come being up in the East, and it's like you move to the Midwest, you think coming back, you're thinking, oh, probably the East is more progressive than the Midwest was. And it's like they're so backwards on some of the stuff they have going on. It's just like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
But that whole process. And I got one of my buddies who's a distributor out in Ohio. Just the stuff he had to go through is crazy, like on stuff. So yeah.
So we had 2 stories. So like down here where we are, although they're not necessarily craft focused, the liquor stores have drive-thrus.
Yeah. And see, in Ohio and Kentucky, we had drive-through for liquor stores. You can actually drive in and do it too. And it's just different. It's different. So it's kind of like, it was funny coming back here. Like people ask, well, what do you think about the Baltimore beer scene? I'm like, yeah, it's okay, but it's kind of less than what I'm used to. I explain it to them, and they're like, really, you can do that out there, and you can do this and that. And it's like, yeah, it's like here it's more restrictive on stuff, but you wouldn't know that unless you went to other places and you saw other things that are happening. And even you're talking about the Vixen down in Dallas. I've been in Dallas and going out to some of their stuff. They seem a little bit more restrictive on some of their things. I'm trying to think because they got like food trucks. They couldn't have food on premise at the time I was down there years ago. I don't know if that changed or not, but I go to places like in Ohio where we had like Mantry. They got the pizza place right inside of the brewery. You have stuff like that where you can do all these different things. And it's like, one, if you're serving beer, why would you not want food there? Because that helps to absorb the alcohol. Plus, from a business standpoint, if people have food to eat, they're probably going to hang out more of the business too. So it's going to probably be more dollars in the community that are being made by these businesses. So it's just kind of funny where it's just like my friends in New Jersey, people have a couple of beers and they're out or whatever because they have to go get something to eat. Or sometimes you can get places delivered if you're in the area where DoorDash will come bring you stuff. But it's just a pain, and it's just not really consumer friendly when you have to go through some of that stuff. So just the whole laws in general between the different states.
When we did when we did this weekend in Youngstown, like we didn't realize that there was a law that we weren't allowed to pour beer. So they had volunteers at each stand, and our volunteer was like, "Can I help you with something?" And we were like, "No," because we just knew what to do. We get in there, we pour liquid, we say our spill, we talk to people. All right, move on to the next and do it day long. And it was like, "Oh, no, in Ohio, it's illegal for you to actually pour. That's why I'm here." I'm like,
we had no
idea.
Well, Cincinnati might have been a little different. I mean, I volunteered, I poured, but there were people that were pouring from the breweries and stuff though too. I don't know if they knew the law, maybe. I don't know, but yeah. But I mean, some of those there, like we had one in Cincinnati for one of the events where the person pouring beer couldn't take money or something. It was like some weird type thing they had with it. Because most of the time they're ticket events. You just give them a ticket and you move on. But this was a cash event like for Memorial Day. And it's like you had to have certain ways to regulate it and stuff. So yeah, it can be a little crazy on stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, nobody wanted to take the money because they couldn't drink and they were taking the money.
Yeah. Another thing that boggles me, like across the country, is like, like just going down to the Texas folks, like they do bottle shares at breweries like all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can't do that.
Like I get it. It's a great thing. It's a great fellowship and all that stuff. But it's like, what are we doing for the actual business that we're in if we're all bringing our own beers in? Like, I can't comprehend it. But it's like maybe like does the bar or the brewery charge you a premium of having the space just so you can do your bottle share? Like, these are things that we're all trying to figure out, because it's like, if you're just letting you just saying, oh, we're going to come and we're going to have a bottle share, okay, that's cool, and nobody's paying anything towards the bar, like, or the brewery, like, why is the brewery even open?
Right. It must just have a picnic table. Yeah. It's I know there were some bars in Ohio that had some stuff, but it was like there were some places like you could bring your own bottle, but they weren't usually bars. There was like a place called Eli's Barbecue, and you can get barbecue there, and the people could allowed to bring their own bottle. But again, they weren't serving alcohol. Serving alcohol makes it kind of different there. So I don't know, maybe they were renting space out or something for the people to have their drinks. I know that's been at some bars where it's like there's a cooler fee or something, but $20 or whatever, but it's still like I'm still saving money if I'm not buying from the bar or whatever. But that's different states have their different rules, and it's interesting when you get to go out and you see the different places that you're actually at and how different things are doing, and you're like, oh, maybe things aren't as bad as I thought they were where I'm at, or maybe things aren't as good as what I thought they would be. So when I did a video of the place I mentioned, Jungle Gyms, and I did the video and then I like, oh, I'm tired. Let me go take a break. And I'm sitting there drinking a beer in the store. Like, you could drink beer in the store there. Like, people were just like blown back. Like, we have a place where you could drink beer while you're shopping. And it's like, okay, let me go buy some more beer. And it's just like, wait a minute, you're actually walking around the store with the open container. It's like, yeah, so, you don't know unless you know. So you find out these things. And now when I go, I'm like, I kind of miss having that availability just to grab a beer, if I wanted to just chill while I shop. But Lighthouse, I mean, I think you can drink there, but you have to stay in that area. I don't know if you can walk around with your drink or not, because Lighthouse Canton, where you guys have distribution, they do have drinks you can get off tap.
So like when you walk in, there's actually bars in there. When you first walk in, of course, you got the major beer bar. Then behind it is the bourbon bar, but on the opposite side is the wine bar.
It's the wine bar, right?
So I would think, if you could, if you're gonna, you should be able to, take your beer and run over and say, oh, let me get a taste of this wine. Or
I've never seen anybody walk around. Everybody usually,
hopefully I can walk with
everybody
her
usually stays in it. Yeah, no, everybody usually stays in their spot. Yeah. I've never seen anybody walk around with their drink. They're always just sitting there drinking. So I don't know. It might be you set off a sensor when you get up. It's it's like the only place I've seen thus far, I think, where you actually have it in there where you can do that. I'm trying to think of any others, because the other spots I've seen around here, they crowler it or growler it. You take it with you. Like, you can't have a spot there to actually drink. But that's a nice, I mean, you're in, like I said, you're in a good spot with Lighthouse. They definitely are a nice one.
Oh yeah, the beer buyer there, Angus McCoy, great guy. We love him to death. He's a Prince George's County native. Really is all about I mean, he's a Caucasian man, but aside from that, he's really for the culture and the collective, and just trying to see how he can help the Black-owned brands be better and help us get some notoriety and go from there. So. When the Cream Ale released, we went there that night. We had our tasting event. We debuted it there, well received. He had us set up for success, and just Lighthouse is just awesome. It's a hidden gem of Baltimore, because like I never knew about it. So when I first walked in there,
sensory overload.
Like I couldn't compute anything. I was about to break down and just clunk over, like
put it all in the cart.
You know, I was J5 on Blank Man, like just
yeah.
J5, get up.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like the first time I went in. So when I was in Cincinnati, one of my buddies, he's actually he's a channel leader, Beer Patrol Joe. He's up in the Buffalo area. So he used to always send out other half beers to us because we didn't get other half where we were. And the first time I walked in, and I was like, "Isn't it cool? Like, oh, is that?" Because they're distinctive cans when you see other half, and I'm like, "Is that other half right there?" Like, I got other half now in Baltimore. Like my friends were like, "Screw you!" Like back in Cincinnati, because everybody loves other half when it came to the IPAs and stuff. So it was like, okay, maybe it's not so bad. I got other half beers here now. So, but no, they've got a pretty good collection of different stuff there. Why it was, like I said, great for them to slot you in. But it was just like the store itself. I was like, it's just like you look at that. Like you have the one side on the left side, the other side on the right side. But where we were at Cincinnati, think of having like 10 rows of like that, like just of the different stuff that you would have. Well, maybe like 8 rows, 6 or 8 rows. But you would have so many different, like, and they would break it out. Like here's Oregon. Here's California, here's Kentucky, here's Ohio, here's the East Coast. Here's like they would have like, and you would literally you would stop like I need a beer because I'm tired of going down these aisles. So we had a few places where you could actually buy and shop there.
Yeah. So we were in Cincinnati, and me and her dad went to a Kroger, and we went in there to get like juice and paper towels, and we was like, man, they got beer in here. Let's go see what they got. And we were just like kids in Toys R Us, like just stuck, like, wow, like this is one aisle. Oh no, there's another aisle, and then cat a corner to that, it's all your domestics, and it's like 6 rows deep. I'm like, wow. I'm just seeing like the packaging that what comes in there. Like, you know, you look at just say like Miller Lite, you know, like you got, you know, 6-pack, 12-pack. Bottles, cans, 24-pack, suitcases. They got 30 packs, and it's like, whoa, what is going on here?
Yeah,
like Illumites, you know, it's like, wow, like they got the entire portfolio up in here
for everybody.
Yeah, they had a thing. Smart Asset is a company that does statistics on various things, and they do one each year for the best beer cities. And until this last year, a few years before that, like 3 or 4 years in a row, Cincinnati was considered the best cities for beer because of the inventory plus the pricing that you would have and the selections you can get there. I mean, one of my local spots, I would get like a 25-ounce IPA of something, like a nice IPA. It'd be like $4.99. 25 ounce, like, and again, it's like 8.5 sometimes, or it might be 6. But like, I probably wouldn't put this in this big of a glass, like technically, but I'm not going to argue because your price is so good. So I'll deal with it, you know. So it was just like, I don't know how they stayed in business, but it's amazing. And you go some other places, and it's like, well, I'm only getting like a 12 ounce, and it's like $10. Like I feel like I'm getting ripped off. Like, which is that's probably the right price. I'm just used to being spoiled at the other, being in Kentucky and Cincinnati. But again, the more you know, right? The more you know. But no, it was definitely great to have you guys on. We're going to get it wrapped up here, but when you are back up this way, obviously we need to get together. We'll grab some beers, do some talking, do some stuff. If I can help out anyway for what you guys are doing, then let me know. Anything I can do to be of assistance to help out. I mean, I gotta go to lunch at some point, right? So I do got a tap house on the next block over. So, but no, I want to see you guys do well. I want to see you get to the spot where you have the brick and mortar. You know, anything I can do to get that. We have some great people that came through in the chat. So, you know, Brew Reviews down in Virginia. That's one of your target spots. Alex was up in New Jersey. So we get some of the guys around the area. There's people that we have scattered throughout that I know. Here in Maryland, a couple of the other key ones. 21090 has a huge following. They're in Baltimore. DJ's Brew Tube is another one who has a huge following. So anything I can do to help you get the word out to people, let me know. You're always welcome to come back and definitely share the stuff happening. I sent you a thing on the email thing on the site to make sure you're posting, because I will take stories, press releases you guys are doing. I put them on the blog. I release stuff on the podcast. This broadcast here will be over to the podcast this week as well. So that people like to listen, and when they're driving and doing stuff, they can check that out. And then the Facebook page I have, Instagram, you guys know, just whatever I can do to be of assistance there.
Got you. No, we truly appreciate you. You're a legend. Thank you for the opportunity of having us on. We'll definitely be in contact.
I get that L word sometimes. I'm like, I'm just here trying. I'm just like you, getting stride.
No, I got you. If anybody has time, Thursday at Frisco's Tap House in Gambrills, Maryland, the collective should be out there. That's going to involve Liquid Intrusion, us, Black Viking Brewing Company, Black Beauty Brewing Company, which is Prince George's County's second Black-owned brewery. Black Viking is Montgomery County's first Black-owned brewery. Then you have Joy Hound as well, which is Howard County's first Black-owned brewery. So having that event, and then probably going down the 18th, we'll be at Whitey's in Lithicum Heights.
Whitey's is one of my spots.
We are working on.
I hit Whitey's. So that's my rotation.
We love Rob's a legend, and then okay,
yeah.
And then what else do we have? The 25th, we should be at Max's Tap House as well too. The entire collective.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good. I would love to meet the rest of the collective and have like some group type thing and kind of get in more details how you guys are working and networking and stuff too. So we could definitely get some stuff hooked up, and like I say, keep me posted on the different things, and I'll pop the things out on the website and let everybody know, and definitely get your name out there a little more. At least what I can do, I may know a few people. So, and if you are, when you do look at distribution and stuff, I'm sorry, say again. You cut out, Andrew.
Every little bit matters. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah. It's I was going to say, my one buddy, like I said, he's in Ohio that runs distribution, but he knows other people at different spots. So when you do look for that stuff, if there's anything you want me to help out there to get stuff out there, again, any connection I have, I'm always willing to share to help people get to the next spot they want to go to. So just let me know. And then down below for the people watching, here is the website again. And for those of you that will catch this on the podcast is www.libcobeer.com, libcobeer.com. So, and I'll put that in the details when I do the podcast update as well. But no, this has been awesome. This has been great, and definitely appreciate the time that you spent with us all here. Give you another round of applause there from the but it was definitely great having you on board here to be able to share some stuff. So appreciate everybody that tuned in. Appreciate you being here. Any other last words you want to throw out there?
May the liquid always prevail.
Follow us on social media, Libco 2021.
See, I was hoping you would get the branding out there. There you go, Jeff. I was like, somebody's got to say the branding line, That being said, thank you, everybody. We are out, and I will look forward to catching up with you all soon. Cheers, everybody. Remember, there's always time. Get your beer on, drink beer, live happily. We're out.